Yeah,
I think it's a good look. It's a good feel.
We did headphones for a bit, and I don't know, like if there's no outside noise, like there's nothing to distract us. So we're just
No
here.
need for headphones.
You know, I'm not at 2-track anymore with like a music video shoot going on downstairs and Studio A with the speakers way too loud. And
Yeah.
I'm good. I got my own little spot here.
It's funny, like working with some artists that don't have that much like experience in the studio, and when they put on the headphones and like listen on the mic for the first time, it's like, whoa, I like in a fishbowl and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's just it's a thing to get used to, you know, like the whole studio experience versus live. So like we just worked with like a country artist who had never been in the studio ever before.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he was like, I don't know, would you say like one of the best artists that we ever worked with, if not like the best.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
And then he was, there was this artist called Zach McPhee that we were working with, and this is Zach McPhee's buddy. Like, so Zach was in the studio with us, and we were like finishing up that session, and like everyone's pumped up because the song turned out great. Zach's like, Garrett, you gotta check out my buddy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, cause I always like trying to find new people or whatever. And he's like, you gotta check out my buddy. I was like, okay, like what's his Spotify? He's like, no. Doesn't have a Spotify. Doesn't even do music. I was like, what do you mean he doesn't even do music? He's
One
like,
of those.
no, he's just like, he just sings with his buddies. Like they work up north and like up in the pipeline or whatever they do up there. And he's like, they just sing when they're like drunk. You know what I mean? And he's like, but check out this video. And he shows me a video off of his phone. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's like a Chris Stapleton type of guy. Like just very, like, as soon as you hear, you're like identifiable voice and unique feature. You're like, this guy's an artist. So I literally just like followed this guy on Instagram. He followed me back and I was just like, hey bro, like I'm buddies with Zach. I produce all of his music. Like, I don't know, like I don't want to be a car salesman here. Like I don't know what your goals are for your future and stuff like that. But like, I'd love to fucking do a song with you. Like no pressure. Like let's just figure it out if we want to do it. And that's the experience that Daniel's talking about. I never had headphones on before to sing. Never sang into a microphone before.
But
he was
so
like the
gifted.
Yeah, and like the quickest vocalist we'd have ever worked with.
Because he didn't know how good he was.
Yeah, and because like
Still
Garrett
doesn't know.
and I've been doing this for so long, right? Like we all have, right? And so it's funny to work with somebody who's like that green, where it's like I wouldn't say there's a lack of a better term, but you know we're not jaded, but we've had so many different experiences, like the lowest of lows and the highest of highs, and we've kind of like seen it all at this point. I would say, right? We've had so many different kinds of experiences. So when you come across somebody like that doesn't even see the talent that they have, it's like, dude, like Garrett and I now are getting to the point, we're lucky enough to get to the point where we're kind of able to work with the artists that we believe in and that we want to work with. You know, that took a few years to get like our production thing like off the ground and stuff. And by no means are we like smooth sailing at this point. We're still like grinding and hungry, of course. We always will be, but we're kind of more like discerning now with who we're working with. And one of my favorite things is like finding people that are like Curtis, that don't know, like they're just like a diamond in the rough. And now it's like, never mind never being in a studio before, never mind like never playing shows before. It's like what I bet on this guy. Like he can learn all the things that we've learned, and we can teach whoever it is the things that we've learned and be that mentor for these artists. But like what I bet on them in 5 years, like do they have something that could be like turned into something 5-10 years down the road? And there's a handful of artists now that we're working with that I'm like stoked to say that have that kind of I feel like star quality and X factor, and that we're like really lucky to be in kind of that position, going from like the face plants to now in this like mentorship, like producing role that we're still trying to figure out, because it's more than just like production we're doing. We're kind of like trying to
we're hired for production, but we're just trying to help as much as we can.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
all the other aspects of it. There was something actually, somebody asked me the other day in the studio, they're like, Garrett, there's like, out of what you guys are doing right now, they're like, who's an artist who like it would be a dream for you to work with in like the next couple of years? And they were asking like in the country lane or type of thing. And dude, I didn't have an answer, but it wasn't out of like me not knowing country music or anything. It was like more of, I'm feeling like like I get it, like a feeling of gratitude, and like I feel like super thankful and like super fired up about like helping find artists and like trying to get them to, you know, like this guy Curtis Hagen, which is probably by the time this podcast comes out, his first single will probably be out, which will be super cool. I'll show you a song after this.
Shout out to Curtis, shout out.
Yeah, give him a shout out. You know, it's really cool finding people like that who like don't know how good they are and being like, you know, and like letting them skip the 15 mistakes that Daniel and I made when we started our careers and just get them to good right away. You know what I mean? So like their first impression is like amazing right off the bat, while like Daniel and I with the face plants, like our first impression sucked 15 times over till we were finally like, this is how you make a record, or we can afford now to make a good sounding record or whatever. I really get pride like getting somebody like right off the bat being like, you got what it takes. Or like, here's the building blocks of the foundation. Now, like, let's run with it. Like, we've set you up. Now, like, start running type of thing.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
That reminds me of when I first discovered that I wanted to be a producer and not just rap. And I was sort of doing the same thing. I was attending a local, like, hip-hop cypher in my city.
Yeah, cool.
A weekly, like, freestyle thing. And just all of the, you know, rats were coming out of the woodwork, and like all the hip hop kids like had a place where they could all meet up, and it was like, oh wow, there's like a whole bunch of us. Look at like where have you guys all been? And it was like our meeting place, and it was so cool. And I was realizing like, oh, it wasn't just me and my two friends that were rapping. Like, wow, there's a whole bunch of these kids out here. And at the time, I had just bought like my first Audio Technica 2020 and my M Audio like plastic USB interface, had a MacBook, and I was like recording my own songs and enjoying that so much. But while being at the cypher, learning about my community, meeting all these like-minded people, I was like, fuck, some of these dudes are so good. Like, they don't have gear, they don't have a mic even. Like, I'll just like invite them over. And I started inviting people over to like my bedroom, which was, I was living with my parents at the time, and I had like my mic set up, and I just started like making records. Nobody was paying me, but it was, I felt so good doing
Foot in the door, at least. Yeah.
I was like giving these other MCs like a way to record, a way to like tell their stories. And at the time I had already been doing it for a few years, you know, we're talking like 2007 at this point, 2008. So I had some years of experience, at least, of like putting a song together, like song structure, chorus goes here, things like that. So I was already able to like see this talent, give the platform, and then also give them that head start the way that you guys are, sort of like helping them avoid some of those initial hurdles,
or whatever,
sort of fast tracking them along. And it was so cool, man. And that was when I realized like, damn, like maybe there's like a school for this. Like maybe I can actually get really good at this, because this is fun. Like this could be a career for me.
And I think like Daniel and I have talked about it a little bit. Like there is no like golden plan of like what Daniel's and our future are. We just want to make good music and keep on doing it. We just want to stay employed. We just want, you know, just keep on like keeping the lights on and everything like that. But I think like him and I both really love that aspect of it a lot. And I think eventually we'll probably do something like have a label of some sort. Like there would be
it's kind of where it's leading to, I think.
Yeah,
like
I think it's eventually get to the point where, you know, our production career hopefully had a certain amount of success where, you know, we have a little bit more backing that we can put into the artists and start a label and have a community of people. And two, like we kind of already do have a little bit of a community of people that we work with. I'm not saying that Daniel and I necessarily started it, but like there's guys like a Mark Lidley we work with, a Zach McPhee, a Dawson Gray, a Mitch Zorn, this guy Dane Bateman we're about to work with, this Curtis guy, where they're like all like buddies kind of, and they're all like working together. Yeah. They all co-write together. They're all kind of on the way up together. And I think that's really cool that like we're a part at least of that community and working all those guys' music. And it's like, and it's a cool thing. It's you know, everyone's competitive, but it's like, if you do well, I'm gonna do well, because I was co-wrote that song, or like you have this certain amount of success, like I'm coming up behind you, like stuff like that. Like it's all like in good fun, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and like and it's fun too, because now we're starting to play live with some of these artists, right? You know, like we're gonna be. Mark has a bunch of summer festivals coming up that Garrett and I are part of the band because we're
That's sick.
the ones making the music, right? So
yeah.
So Mark's looking at us sometimes. Be like, "What are the chords again?" like, dude,
we got
you missed that chord, dude. That's not right.
You just
this is my song.
You just worry about the vocals.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but it's
so much fun.
It's so much fun too.
Yeah.
And so we played with Mark last year at Boots and Hearts. He was a part of like the Emerging Artist Showcase, and that was our first experience backing somebody, right? Like I wasn't the lead singer.
Yeah.
And I remember Garrett and I like looking at each other like after that show being like, that was so much friggin' fun. And also there was no pressure. Usually the pressure's on us, you know, as like the face plants are like touring or being in a band, like everyone's looking at you, and so beforehand, Mark's like walking around this like
Pacing
backstage,
back and
passing,
forth, getting
he's
stressed
sweating,
out, like-
and we're like, yeah, dude, like we've been there, you know, we've done that
I'm
for
like,
4
man, I'm
years.
so happy I'm not in your shoes right
Exactly.
now. Like I'm just going up there and playing my best.
Yeah, exactly.
really-
Break a leg, but no, it's and to see it is back in the day, I never thought there would be a day that you know there wouldn't be the face plants. You know, that was our life. But
Totally, yeah.
everything that Garrett and I have done has just been like an evolution, and you know the transition from like being a band into production wasn't this big deal. It was like Garrett and I have been friends and learned our instruments like since we were like 11. Like we met at 10 or 11, you know, like really, really young. So our whole lives it's just been like the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And for me at least, I don't know how Garrett feels, but like there's a certain level of like deep satisfaction and gratitude I feel giving back to some of these artists and helping them, like seeing that young like rose-colored glasses, like looking through the world, like naivete, but like really genuine, and just hunger in some of these younger artists that we're working with that I just like. It's just so satisfying, and I feel we're so lucky to be working with these people and kind of, like Garrett said, help them through steps maybe that they wouldn't be able to figure out on their own, or you know, help them navigate those pitfalls that we went through. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a different level of satisfaction and deep like love for what we do because of that.
We're like their big brother or something like that, or like dad or something like that. Like honestly,
It's
that's kind of
weird.
what it feels like.
It's weird being in like the mentorship like role now.
And too, like, you know, mentorship, like we don't know it all, like for sure,
exactly.
Like, but we do know some things that can't get them ahead.
Absolutely,
Like there'll be a point. I think we've talked about this. I think in the past too. Like there'll be points where these artists hopefully get, you know, bigger than even Dan and I can, like, you know, just give them advice, you know, or like help guide them. Hopefully they have label backing, management, booking agents where they're now their own thing. They've built their own foundation of people and communities surrounding them. But at least we can help at the start now, or aim for them to get there, hit that bullseye or whatever you want to say.
I think it's interesting that you're finding still so much, you use the word gratitude, Dan, and like, and fulfillment out of what you're doing, even though you're not the front man, the star, the front, you know, the main attraction anymore. I think it shows that you guys are really meant to do this, or you're doing it for the right reasons, because with or without the fame, all the things that come with it, recognition, you're still like, oh, I'm enjoying every minute of this. I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. I still like luckily we've been very busy lately, but I still wake up every morning and be like stoked to go to the studio.
Yeah.
Like doesn't matter how much work we have, or like maybe we have somebody who like isn't the strongest singer yet in the studio with us, where maybe that day feels a little bit more like work. I am still excited every morning when I wake up, and I'm like still hungry and still we leave the studio every day and I'm like we still didn't accomplish enough. Like we have such a high standard for ourselves and the artists we work with, and I think that's been really helpful in our career so far, is like our bar is way up here, and even for ourselves it's like we could put in a full day at the studio and be like still didn't get enough accomplished.
I know what that
Gotta
feels
get it
like
tomorrow.
I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
I don't
at least for me too, working with, or like it's not like some like philanthropist kind of work. That's not like how I'm like trying to put this, but it's cool providing value to somebody like that, especially like a young artist, because like Personally, I'm getting like really like tired of just like the social media culture of like of being an artist, and I'm feeling, for myself at least, I am less and less like kind of gravitating towards like, what's up guys, check out my new single, and like I feel like I've done that, and it's kind of like I want to deepen my kind of my experience in our career kind of thing, you know, and I like to provide value for somebody else like that, and help them on their way, and rather than like the attention be on us, because it goes deeper than just like, I want to be like, I remember when Garrett and I first started, it's like our goal is to like be famous, and
Yeah.
I think that's where everybody I think starts, but it's like, what does that even mean?
Totally. How do you define
what does that mean?
Or how do you define success even? Or like these ideas that we have as teenagers of like making it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean?
It's like there's a deeper level of like satisfaction and fulfillment, rather than just being like, look at me, which I think I don't know if ultimately ends properly, or you know what I mean? So
I to put things into perspective for myself, because I get so caught up in like mixed envy, hearing other people's work, or like
that's the worst.
Getting stuck in the social media game and being like, why did this throwaway post get 9,000 views on this reel, and then something I put a lot of work into got 200? Like trying to wrap my head around making it, all these things, competing with other people, comparing myself to everyone I see out in the world there. What I do, and I don't do often enough, but what really matters to me is like, would a 15-year-old me looking at the guy today be like, how is that guy doing? And when I think about it, like I feel like I'm killing it. You know what I mean? Like
I've never thought about it that way before. I feel
like if a 15-year-old me could see 34-year-old me, I'd be like, damn, that guy's like look at that studio. Like he's got he's got a podcast. Like he's mixing for all these local artists. Like
you would probably be like, your dreams came true.
Yeah. When I was interning at a studio, I can probably say the name of it, DBC, which was a post-production studio for film and television. It was like right out of Nimbus. I was just looking for any kind of work that I could have, like in audio.
Vancouver here, sorry?
Yeah, they're in Vancouver. And it was a really cool time while I was there, and they had like 2 or 3 different really sick like editing suites with like acoustics, and they had Genelex, so that's part of the reason I have Genelex now, I think. But anyhow, it was like in one of the rooms one day, like cleaning or something, because they had me like Q-tipping, Cloroxing and everything, and I was just like the runner, right? But I was in one of the rooms one day alone, and just sitting there and being like, this is all I need. Like, if I can have a room half this sick, with a nice pair of monitors, and I could just like close the door, like that'll be that's my dream. This was like probably 10 years ago. I said that to myself. I was like, that's all I need. I don't need like a tour bus. I don't need like arenas. I just want to be making music in a cool room and on my own terms. And like, my fuck, do I ever have that now? Right? Like so I really do feel like I've made it. If on that person's terms that I was, fuck yeah. Like,
hell yeah.
Because I think it always comes down to like, why are you doing this? Right? Like, why and everybody has a different why, you know, and there's so many different styles of music and different styles of bands and careers within this industry. But like for me, and like I feel Garrett too, it's like I just love music so much, right? And like I'm obsessed with it. There's like 2 sides of me, right? There's the producer side of me, and like there's the music fan side of me too. And like you just wake up like just thankful to be doing anything in this industry, and being able to like pay your rent doing this, and not having to work a day job. And so, you know, it doesn't matter like if somebody doesn't nail a vocal. It doesn't matter if like traffic is bad on the way in. It's like just really grateful to be doing this. And I think it ultimately comes down, if it's like a band or production or like label, like, why are you doing this? And I've like had to just because like we've been doing this for so long and things have evolved, I've always had to come back to that why, because it first started with me being like, I want to be a famous lead singer.
Right.
And then it's like a constant through the years, like reevaluating yourself and just growing as a person and learning more and falling in love like deeper with the craft. And ultimately you just got to like, understand that why and just keep moving forward. Like shit'll pan out. Just keep moving forward and do it from the right place, I feel.
I think it's interesting how things unravel for all of us, like in ways that we don't foresee, but as long as we're kind of like doing it for the right reasons still, like we keep saying, or just following the initial passion, like you will end up in the right place. Like,
yeah, exactly. It might not be where you expected it to be.
Yeah.
We don't know we'd be producing country. Honestly.
Exactly. I have like no idea.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
maybe that's a great segue into, because I wanted to dive into that a bit today. Like, you know, you guys were in a pop rock band for quite a long time, and had a great deal of success with that. We're touring, put out really high quality albums, full-fledged projects, and then you've transitioned from that into, you know, being a production duo, still sort of making with the band on the side, but now it's kind of the spotlight is really on the Renaissance right now, as you guys doing your mixing and songwriting.
It's our day job.
That's your day job.
Yeah.
And all the artists that you're putting out are country now, which is fascinating. And I listened to it, and it's super high level. It sounds so authentic, so like gives me such good feelings when I hear, you know, the songs that you guys are working on. So tell me how that transition happened. How did you guys become like the go-to for country, having a background not in country?
Man, I don't really know. Well, it was an artist that we worked with originally called Justin Maddock, and he was a guy that was kind of in a pop punk band back in the day, and he wanted to get into country music, and he was pretty much like came up to us and was like, I know you guys are doing the Renaissance thing, like I've heard everything you've done, I'm really stoked on it. Would you ever consider wanting to do country music? And Dan and I kind of just like looked at each other and we were like, yeah, like we'd give it a shot. Like, why not? And like, to be honest, at that point, we kind of like just started. So
we just wanted a gig.
So it wasn't like we had a whole bunch of work lined up or anything like that. And Justin was like a pal. Like I would see Justin out, you know, at the bar at the time, or I'd see him at festivals or shows and stuff like that. And I would talk to him every time. So he was like a bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, let's do this. And we did that. And I think the song turned out pretty good. For like our first song, what we did in country, it turned out pretty good. And through that song, that's how we got introduced to Mark Ledlin, which is the guy that we've had, we definitely have had the most success with him out of any project we've done. Even the Faceplant stuff, Mark's had probably more success than the Faceplant stuff. And with us doing his stuff, that really opened the door to that. Like the floodgates came in, and now we're, you know, because it's like you start to have, and his song, there was a song called Drink About Me, what we did with him. And I wouldn't say it's not like a hit song by any means, but for him being an independent artist in Canada, it's a hit song. Yeah. And, you know, it did have a viral moment on TikTok and stuff like that. All the right things that you're supposed to do for a hit song nowadays, it kind of had it. Except it didn't have a label backing, didn't have the budget or whatever. But, you know, it's got millions of streams or 1 million streams plus or whatever. So it got an attention of enough people in that country music scene that were like, oh, like, who's doing this Mark Ledlin guy? Like, he's not signed to Universal. Yeah. Like, he's not in Nashville. Yeah. Like who's doing this? Like, oh, this is guys in BC. Like, oh, I don't have to move down to Nashville to do this. You know what I mean? So that was kind of a thing for us where it kind of just spiraled from that. And then we met Zach McPhee and did his stuff, and he's had a certain amount of success too. And he's been doing very well. Yeah. And it keeps on going. And like, I think that I can honestly say that Daniel and I have kept up a high quality standard of that stuff. So the work that we put out, when it does get heard, people are like, oh, who did this? You know, like, obviously the song's great, the performance is great, the vocalist is great, but it's like, who did this music? Who mixed this? Who like, you know, oh, they're from BC, they're from Vancouver. Oh, okay. You know, then it kind of just like spirals from that. And then one thing led to the next, domino effect from there, right? It's kind of funny how, like, I'm a very like analytical guy. I'm a very like planning type of person. Like I love spreadsheets, or I'm just like a nerd like that. And like if we were starting,
it's the one guy that say I love spreadsheets.
Dude,
yeah,
my mom loves them too. I get it from her. That's awesome.
Right. What a sentence.
But like for what's been happening now, like you couldn't write it down. Like it's just gonna like if we just do our best work, it's gonna pan out.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean? Like, mom and dad, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to make a living doing music. If I just do my best, I know it's going to work.
Yeah.
But like, that's kind of what happened, where it was like every song that we do, we really try to put in 100%. And even though that might be the 8th or 10th song we've worked on that month, that's that one person's baby.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe they saved up a lot of money for months for it, or maybe they got a grant for it, or who knows? Maybe they, like, who knows what it is, right?
Yeah.
The situations. But like, us being an artist, like I know that feeling of like, yeah, I'm working with the producer that works with all these big artists, but like this is my shot. Like this is my chance to get it. So like Daniel and I like really try to make that aware in everything that we do, and try to like have the patience and like make sure these songs get to 100%. And it seems like when we do that, when the songs do get traction, it's like people take notice of that.
And so when you guys were first starting this new venture with this, exploring this new genre, what challenges did you face, and were you having to actively, like, I don't know, do homework or sort of seek out songs to like get a better understanding of like, what type of production are we talking about? Like, how does this differ from other genres that I've been working with? Like,
sure, like the maybe like on a tactical level, maybe there was like understanding the genre better and listen. To be honest, like I never really listened to country or top 40 country at all. Garrett, honestly, like Garrett and I have been friends since we were like little kids, but we're completely different people. Like Garrett and I have completely different skill sets and strengths. And to be honest, Garrett was more of understanding of the genre and listen to country music, and I just hadn't, and I kind of don't on the day to day, honestly, in my personal life. So the tactical of like understanding the genre, and sure, like that took some studying and stuff. But I wouldn't say it was easy. But Garrett and I have such a chemistry when it comes to making music, and such a history together, that what was easy was jumping from like this genre and like trying our best to do it, jumping to this genre and like trying our best to do it, just like through the experience of working together for so long. And so I think that's why like we're in such like unique position, because we're not just two dudes that found each other like on Craigslist. We started this whole thing together. Yeah. So
our taste is like very similar.
Yeah. And you guys have a formula at this point, right?
Well, to be honest, okay, so you're asking like why has this been working too? I honestly think everything Daniel just said, that we are not really country guys, is the reason it's working. Because because at least for me, okay, so when we were in the Faceplant stuff, I got into country music because my friends who I'd go out partying with were into country music.
Okay.
So I would associate country music as like just good time, hanging out. My brain's turned off right now. I'm enjoying the moment. And so I would like always say to like my girlfriend at the time, or like my parents, I'd be like, I hear country music and I don't dissect it. Like every other type of music I would listen to, like hip hop, rock, pop, I'd be like, okay, is chorus hitting at 35 seconds? Okay, what's the mix like? Is the kick hitting?
Yeah.
Is the bass side chain? Is all this country music? It was more of like fun weekend music. So I would just listen as a fan. Now that we're doing country music, I think this is for Daniel and I listen to our songs that we work with from a listener's perspective, because I never used to like dissect it. Like obviously there's certain things in country music that we do, like verse, chorus, bridge. Actually, most songs don't even have bridges anymore, but breakdowns and stuff like that. Or like we're doing country music, we need to add the mandolin, we need to add the banjo. Like let's add the steel. Like there is certain things you have to do, but like I think the reason we've been doing so well is because we come from a listener's perspective.
Wow.
We don't come from a production standpoint.
That's really cool.
Of like, what's the main elements that the listener actually focuses on, and let's just do that. And now it's a country song.
But also it's like we're self-aware, and we understand that it has to be tasteful at the same time, right? And like, and not not doing a disservice to the genre too. Like we always want to approach things with taste and understanding and reverence and respect and all of that kind of stuff, right? Like there's some like shit out there that you can like, there was a genre for a while of like certain hip hop and country mixing together, and it was like, I think it was called like hick hop or something like that. And it was just like, you could tell it was thrown together from a label, and it wasn't done from the right point of view. And I can't even like give you an example of artists, but it's important for us to not just be like, yeah, that's no problem, like let's just do that genre, it doesn't matter how we do it. Like we really do care about it at the end of the day, even if it's not like the genre's not my personal forte, you know? So
no, that's really cool. I think what I'm understanding is like you're able to separate yourself and like have a perspective shift from the technical side of it and really just hear it for the music that it is, right? And try and do your best at making something that's enjoyable and that like, you know, that you said that done tastefully, right?
Like from a mixing standpoint too, like getting technical for a second, there's no difference to me mixing a metal song versus me mixing a country song. Like literally there is no difference to me. Like it's the same structure. I know like probably with your mixing, you have certain templates that you follow, or not a template, but certain like steps you take every time. And there, to me, there's literally no difference.
Yeah.
Like genres don't matter to me at all. It's just like, how's the vocal? What's the subject matter? And like the production, like, do I like the song or not? It actually gets down to, do I like this or not? As simple as that.
Yeah.
And like if it too, with our productions, it's like Daniel and I feel like we'll work on anything. Just the question is, do we like it or not? Yes, we like it. Okay, let's work on it. Do we know? Okay, we're not going to work on it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I feel like nowadays, like genres don't even matter. Like it truly doesn't. Anybody that's been innovative in the last 10 years that have broken boundaries and music became the biggest artists of the world are the people that blur those lines of genres and stuff like that. And like my favorite producers and stuff like that, probably the biggest producer in like country music is, his name's Joey Moy. He got to start, he was the Nickelback guy. He did all rock stuff.
Okay.
He's a rock producer. Then he jumped into country. Now he's the biggest country producer in the world. There's this other producer, I can't remember his name right now for some reason. Daniel and I really like Orville Peck. And the guy who produces his stuff, he's a punk rock guy too. And now he does country stuff. Starts with a J.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
He's very good. I feel bad for not knowing his name. But anyway, it's kind of interesting that like you think of the obvious examples like a Rick Rubin, like it's just his taste. Like I'd hope that Daniel and I have good taste. You know, Rick Rubin has incredible taste. That's why he succeeds.
Never thought about it like that. But
Yeah.
You know, it kind of makes sense. Like you can jump from this to that and make it work if you're following your sense of good taste, right? It's
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Like I don't know if it's like this because I'm not a chef, but I would think I would think like a chef would be similar, that like a certain chef, like yes, there's different types of food. You know, Italian, Mexican and stuff like that. And there is certain things ingredients you have to have in those areas, but like, you know, the essentials, you know, the foundations, how to make this, you have the quality standard, you've put in the 10,000 hours where it's like, I know that if I go to this different type of food and I cook this with those main ingredients that are always used in that culture's food, I know I'm going to get pretty close.
Does it taste good to that chef?
Exactly.
Then other people are going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right. Because they've figured it out, you know? So tell us a little bit about what it looks like from an artist's perspective when they hire you guys. Are you always writing and playing the instruments and lyrics? Are you hired sometimes just to do the instruments or sometimes just to write lyrics? Does it depend? Let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. So because we work with like artists from like the ground up and also like more established artists too, it varies and it's different. But what we kind of started doing just out of like necessity throughout COVID, because we couldn't like get together with some of these artists, and like that's when we started really like diving into the Renaissance stuff, was like working off of voice notes. Like artists will be like for instance, like Garrett mentioned Drink About Me. Drink About Me was, I think, like a verse and a chorus. Maybe verse 1 and verse 2 and a chorus, but just a voice note. And Mark sent that over, and that became kind of like working off voice notes became like a big part of like how we started our production. process, and just taking that, kind of figuring out where the production needed to go. Like that's where Garrett and I would collab from the beginning. And then this is, and at that point, kind of our different skill sets took over, right? I kind of like, I've said this to my parents, right? Like they're asking about like how our workflow was and stuff. And it's super kind of douchey, but it's like, it's almost, if you were to put it in like painter's terms, or like an artist in that sense, it's like Garrett and I are coming up with together, like what the picture is going to be about, like what's the painting, and I will then kind of draw it and paint it and like come up with it, like the rough sketch, kind of like the demo of it, right, like the draft of it. And then when Garrett gets his hands on it, then he's like, okay, that like red would look better with yellow, and like that it would turn into orange, and it would like fine tune it from then. So kind of from the point of like a voice note, we would kind of then put that into a session, put the real instruments over top. I would like write whatever. And another like unique thing about our production process is kind of like everything that we do all the way down to like the mixing side is in-house. Like we have hired other people as well. Like I don't play everything, and I don't like to boast.
You play 99% of it though.
I don't ever say like, like I'll play it all, or I can play it all. Like I hate saying that kind of stuff, but that's just one of
happens.
that's just one of my strong suits, right? So from the voice note, I love, and I don't know how many other production, teams or any other producers work off of just something as rough as a voice memo, but hearing something and getting excited off of something that's just so raw and basic is really exciting for Garrett and myself, and is also because then it's just like, is the song good or not? And then just let us do our thing. So a lot of the time it was us coming up, like working on the voice note, coming up with the production demo, Garrett like mixing that production demo, the artist coming into the studio, hearing it kind of for the first time, and then cutting vocals to it.
Oh, wow.
That is how we started.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, obviously that has evolved, and like now that we're out of COVID and stuff like that. But I think that was a unique way that we started our production career. And I think, I don't know how many other like production teams kind of did that kind of thing do that, but
yeah, we don't even know. That's what we had to do because of like COVID. And I think that's cool though, because like we can technically handle it all ourselves if we had to.
Yeah.
But like we do like to bring people, like Daniel was saying, like our production process is a little bit different now. Like we try to have the artists more involved in it now, obviously. Now it's like, okay, they send us a voice memo. And two, like to be honest, our collaboration starts before the song is even, given to us kind of. So like a lot of the time somebody will be like, hey, I'm looking to record this song. Or, hi, I am sending us email. Hi, I am so-and-so. I'm looking to produce this song. Love to hear what you think. And Dan and I will be like, don't think this song is it. And we'll be like, okay, like, hey, I would love to hear what other songs you have. You know what I mean? Or like send us the 30 Dropbox songs and like let us listen through those. So sometimes it's starting even before we even touch it. It's just even song choice or like, man, maybe the song that they chose like doesn't have that wow factor. Like if the voice memo didn't catch me and be like, there's something special in this, we got to move on until we have that moment first, because I don't want to start working on something until it's great from the foundation.
And our perspective is completely different than theirs, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So we'll hear things that maybe, it's so hard to be objective of your own material and even with our own productions. So it's fun to be that like outside ear, and especially like the two of us being that outside ear, maybe being like, okay, that's good, but yeah, what else do you have? And then like maybe like the 14th idea, it's like that has to be it. Like that is amazing. Like we need to work on that.
And to be honest, that's not ragging on the artist by any means. Every artist is like this.
Of course,
we do
it's how we were.
Or yeah, exactly.
Oh,
or like,
dude.
or like
Absolutely.
if we think, even like a Mark and a Zach who we work with, these guys are incredible writers. I don't think Mark and Zach have ever brought us a bad song, but still we're like, we want to see what else, because we just wanted to see, maybe we can think of something that they're not thinking of. You know what I mean? Like we're just trying to explore all the options before we're like, okay, this is the next one.
I think that's pretty standard for anyone who's doing any anything creative is like you're gonna have 700 paintings, but you're only gonna show 5 of them at your art show, right? Like, so it's okay to have lots of not throwaways, but like maybe you had to write those 17 songs to get that 18th one to where it needed to be, or like you had to get the ideas out. So 100%. It's like there's no shame in like. Yeah, like what else do you guys have? Like just show me your notebook. Like yeah. That's great. I love that. Okay, so I have to ask, like when you say voice note, are we talking about like somebody whistling into an iPhone? Is it like a spoken word lyrics? Like what are we talking about?
Yeah, as rough. Like Curtis, we just did a song with him, right? The guy we were talking about at the beginning. He just was singing into the phone without even like chords. And so
no chord progression, no nothing.
It was like like it doesn't get more rough than that.
And like wow. So and like not like he had the melodies and he had like 90% lyric or maybe 80% of the lyrics.
He just had the voice.
But
and
his
good
voice,
melody. Yeah.
I just knew that, man, the melodies were great.
Yep.
Vocal was great.
That's it.
Dan and I can do everything else.
Yeah. So just listening to that voice note and then being like, okay, where is he singing, right? Like, so like just finding the key or whatever, and then just finding a good chord progression that went with that melody, and then being like, okay, let's lay down acoustic.
Yeah.
And then stripping. That we didn't have to strip that, but like usually when we get like an acoustic or a voice note or like voice demo or whatever, we'll strip the vocal from the actual acoustic, right, and just work off of the stripped vocal. I was gonna say that with Curtis, but it was just the vocals. So we didn't have to do that.
There's like this lame like Google like
AI,
vocal AI remover that we use.
Yeah,
where it's literally like if someone say if I'm playing acoustic guitar and vocal recording in my phone, you can put it into you can upload that file into this like AI thing and it separates the vocal and the acoustic. Like it glitches out and like sounds horrible.
But it's a rough enough sketch for you to get the gist.
And like before we'll find the tempo of it and I'll go through and quickly edit the voice memo and lock it to a grid. So when we do that now, we can start doing production onto it.
Wow, you guys, like you really working with nothing, hey? Like starting from scratch.
No, but like
here.
it's cool though because like this is all what we know. Like like, but at the same time though, it's like Dan and I are thinking of ways we can evolve our productions too. Just like how artists, like every album wants to evolve their sound and their songwriting and their lyrical content.
Yeah,
Dan and I are literally thinking the same thing right now, where it's like, you know, we've had a certain amount of success now. We can start choosing who the artists are that we want to work with. Okay, if we really want to work with this guy, let's really push our limits. Okay, we don't want to work off of voice memos anymore. Let's get a band in a room. Like we're now starting to be able to and have the budgets where we can be like, okay, let's get the artist in and he's pre-proing the song with us. There is no voice memo. We literally make a demo and now we go straight to tracking the final instruments. While before sometimes it's, you know, Daniel and I doing all in the room, and now there's like a bunch of changes because somebody isn't in the room with us. They're kind of waiting to come track vocals. Yeah. So it really depends. That's what we're trying to evolve to. We're trying to do a little bit more of like a live band feel, but still have it sound modern to us. Still have our aesthetic onto it of like what we try to do production wise, but have a little bit more rawness to it. And some songs that's important. Some songs it's not important or it doesn't fit. It depends on the song, depends on the artist. It's just trying to be like, I don't know what the word is, but trying to be like a chameleon for all the artists that we work with, trying to be like, it's not just, you know, there is certain things that we do every song and there's certain things that we know succeed from like a technical standpoint, like how to record things or how to mix things. But from the production standpoint, trying to make it unique every single time.
Yeah. There's no like template, I guess, of like, you have to do it this way. It's like, what are we, what's our starting point?
Yeah.
And like what, you know, and what are the tools that we have along the way? You have to be, you have to learn how to adapt. Otherwise there, you know, I can't even imagine like you get very far, you know, you guys are being super creative and flexible along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And too, like having things in house and kind of being able to map out and play everything and mix everything. That is not, it is nice when we also don't have to do that, you know, like that is not from our like our ego being like, look, we're playing on this, right? It's just a lot of the time it started that way just because of like a lack of budget and being like, this is how we're unique as well. This is where you can save money, so you don't have to spend $250 on a guitar player and a bass player and like a banjo player. It's like I don't know how to play mandolin, but I know what sounds good. Yeah. So it's like I can tune the mandolin to make it sound good, you know. So
tune like a guitar or whatever.
So.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing with country music too, which, again, I only know our situation because we're only Dan and Garrett. But like a lot of production people too, it's like, okay, yeah, you hired the producer. Okay, yeah, you're giving him a couple $1,000s to do the production, but now you got to go hire a drummer for $250 or $300. Now you got to go hire a bass player for that. Now you got to go hire a guitar player. Now you got to go hire a steel player, a banjo player. Now you need to have a studio that can accommodate all that stuff and do it live. Now that's another $1,500 because you got to go to the Armory or the warehouse, or now you're down in Nashville. And it's like, and a lot of those guys are more like, a lot of the producers in country music are more like general managers. You know what I mean? Like they're not necessarily coming up with the parts, but they're like, this guitarist will
Just
be
like
great on
producing
this.
it.
Executive
Just
producing
moving
it.
the big pieces.
Moving the big pieces, or like now we're going to
Okay.
hire this mixer. Like a lot of the guys don't mix it themselves. Now we're going to, you know, this mastering engineer. It's more of like organizing it.
Yes.
While we're more of like creating it, but not that one way is better than the other. It's just different. Like again, like I was saying, in the future, we want to try to start doing a little bit more of both.
So what percentage of it is done in your guys' room there?
95%.
95. And how often have you outsourced drums, or are you just strictly doing samples and program drums?
We do real drums as much as we can when there's a budget there to do it, because obviously you got to go to a bigger studio to do it. Again, I'm very lucky. Daniel can play the real drums. So now they save cost on not hiring. Yes, they have to pay for the studio, but they don't have to pay for a session guy to do that. There's been times where we try to hire like a steel guy down in Nashville, guy called Travis Toy. He plays with like Luke Bryan and stuff like that. And he's somebody that we trust, that he's probably been on like 30 songs we've done, 25 songs we've done. It's one of those things where you ask just like, what's the ingredients it takes to make like a country production? Steel really makes it country. You could have fake pop drums. You could have everything pop in the song. You throw a steel guitar on it, it's a country song now.
It's so funny you brought that up, because I'm going to admit this. I didn't know what that was called, like what that instrument was called, but I was like hearing all you guys' songs and I was like, oh, there's that sound again. There's that sound again. And I was like, okay, I got to look this up.
It's a steel
You know
guitar.
what
There
though,
you go.
dude? Like before we hired Travis and like we found him, I would just fake it with like, I have like essential oil bottles. So I would literally fake it on the,
Like
on the
on the
guitar.
guitar.
Yeah.
So if you listen to her, like, I can't even give you an example. I can't even give an example, but like a lot of our like earlier recordings.
Zach McPhee, Bring On has that, doesn't it? Right into the chorus.
Right into the chorus. Okay,
Yeah,
Zach
yeah.
McPhee, Bring On. Shout out Essential Oils.
So it's a
Yes.
glass bottle.
Yeah,
not I've got one here.
Yeah, just the.
Like something like this, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly that. Just play it on a guitar, and
dude,
we
it's
just
like-
threw some reverb on it,
Oh
and
my
good to
God, I
go.
love
And you
that.
just do it until it sounds right.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, I don't know.
Boys.
You don't know how to play banjo. You don't know how to play all these things. But I think, like, the overall. You know, Garrett's talking about the producers that kind of like just like the tastemakers and the guys that are like putting everything together. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the shit that they do still sounds great because it's still like their taste and understanding and their ear.
Yeah.
So I feel like one of my strengths, at least as a producer, is just knowing. I by no means am I like perfect or anything like that, and like still room to grow and stuff. But I at least know what works and what doesn't, and what sounds good or what feels good, and it doesn't matter like the way of getting there. It's just. Can I make an essential oil bottle sound like a steel guitar? I don't know. This sounds pretty good.
You know,
This sounds cool.
Zach's song has over 500,000 streams, and that essential,
Exactly.
like, nobody
It
could
doesn't
tell.
matter.
Nobody in Nashville is like in the comment section being like, "Why'd you guys use a?"
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, nobody.
That peppermint oil, I'll tell you. But the thing is, too, it's also refreshing sending out things and then getting them back and being like, "That's amazing! I wouldn't have thought of that line, or I wouldn't have thought of that lick, or something like that."
Yeah.
So hiring like that Travis Toy is definitely a step up from the essential oils. I will say that.
It's cool too because Daniel and I are very like our productions are very organized and thought out. But something about country music is there's like a big live aspect to country music, and like what that steel guy will do is he'll literally just do like a pass of the song. Like like I don't know this, but I'm assuming this is what he does. Is he'll literally just like throws my file, the bounce I did, into his Logic session, presses spacebar, presses record,
And he's just
and he just
jamming
does a
with you.
pass.
Yep. Yeah.
And we just throw it in.
And we just throw it in, or like pick our moments. But it's cool is it brings a live and realness to our productions that are very
Absolutely.
structured.
Yep.
It brings all of a sudden now that steel in the first chorus isn't necessarily the same as the second, which is dope to us. Like, which is like, I feel like really helps our productions too. So there's certain country things like that, what we do, which gets us a little bit more in the lane, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really interested about the drum portion of it, because we're, you know, in a world now where, you know, we still have genres, but more and more often, like, there's just, popular music is just sort of a big hybrid, right?
Yep.
Like nowadays. And, you know, with kind of hip hop, trap being, I would say, like at the forefront, where none of that is real drums. It's just samples everywhere.
Yep.
And then you hear a lot of different genres sort of bringing in elements of like loud hi-hats and 808s and samples and stuff like that. How important is it nowadays in 2023 to still like have live drums, and how much of that are, you know, how important is that, I guess, and how many of your and how much are you putting that into your production?
At least for me, maybe Garrett has a different opinion, but like, obviously it depends on the song, and we've done multiple like songs in the genre that don't have live drums, and it's completely passable. Like the programming that we do and what Garrett does to the drums, like what like the fake or like the MIDI drums that we do, is like beyond good, you know, like it is passable and it's fine. I just have, for me personally, when the budget is there and the song calls for it, I like to have it. I personally think that it adds like a different feel to the song. Again, it depends on the song. I think it just adds another level of life to a song that is just not there when you have fake drums.
Yep.
And that's just my taste personally. And that's not to say that like what we do or the fake drums that we do aren't great. It's just my personal taste. And I can definitely tell the difference of the songs that we worked on that have live drums. And again, not to say I'm prouder of one or the other. That's just my own personal
right, and that's why people
taste.
are hiring you. Again, comes down to taste. Like it's your guys' call, really. Like, or maybe, I mean, maybe you get to a scenario where an artist is insisting that they have live drums,
like,
and that, you know, that's great. You know, like if someone said we needed live drums on this, we're yeehaw. We're like, yeah, let's do this.
And also, I don't ever want to get to a point in our production career where we're like looking at things as a make it or break it, right? So it's like if we're looking at a song being like, the song would sound better or feel better if it had live drums, but it's not a make it or break it. We could fake it with with MIDI drums.
Yeah.
I never want to make decisions based on that. It's like I always want to make decisions based on like our standard and like what we want to do, right? And we've been in that position of like, it's not a make it or break it, but I think that's the wrong mindset to be in.
I think what Daniel said is like very important.
Yeah.
Like I think it's really important nowadays to be able to work with anything. You know, like exactly what Daniel said. If somebody wants to work with us, it doesn't matter if they track vocals with us. Doesn't matter if they don't track vocals with us. Doesn't matter if they want real drums. Doesn't matter if they have fake drums. Doesn't matter if we have synth basses. Doesn't matter if we have real basses. The quality control will still be high. It's like you think about it from like an audio nerd type of thing. It's like when you're younger, you're like, I can't record a pro vocal because I don't have a U87.
Sure.
It's like, guess what? Yeah. You and I are mixers. We need to be able to make a SM58 and a Manly sound just as good as each other.
Yeah.
It like doesn't matter. So it's like if they don't have the budget to do real drums, our fake drums are going to sound still amazing. It's like you have to be at that level. To get a bit more technical on it, really nowadays it's a bit of both. Like even when we do real drums, they're still sample based because that's the sound of modern music to us, or like what we're doing. But Daniel is right. There's a certain depth you get to the song, and there's a certain like, I don't know how to explain it, and maybe this is something that you can't explain because of music. Maybe this is a part of what makes playing real instruments special, but it's like there's a certain depth and a certain feel to it, and it's like you almost sit yourself more into the music when there's real drums in it. And two, you can replace all the kicks, replace all the snares, you replace all the toms, but still if you have that overheads and the room mics or like the real hi-hat or the real rye, it's like, wow, this feels like I'm in the room a little bit more
to it. Hey,
there's something, there's a depth to it where like I almost think of it as if you did the best fake drums, MIDI drums or whatever, it's 2D. As soon as you add like 10% of that real drums, now it's 3D.
Yeah.
It's like that to me.
Yeah, it's like throwing heat on the mix a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, exactly.
A little something extra, hey?
Yeah.
That you can't quite
Yeah,
put your finger
where
on.
like
but-
those real drums won't be like somebody would never hear that and be like, now this is a bad song. There's not real drums on it. This is a bad, like it's not that, but it's like it could make a 5% to 10%. Wow, this sonically sounds a little bit more pleasing.
really comes down to feeling and just like what is that little extra something that's going to give that song like maybe resonate with someone where they're going to want to play it a couple more times, because I bet you like 100% of people that aren't mixers and producers aren't going to tell that, like they would never they don't even know what fake drums are. They're just hearing that, so they don't care, right? But
Yeah.
maybe there is that opportunity, like you said, if you can have that, even if you're blending in on another fader, blending in the real, like, can I give the song a little something extra that might give somebody a goosebumps? Or,
The thing too with like with the real or fake drums too is like, you know, with our workflow, you can get fake drums sounding good really quickly. You know what I mean? Real drums, you got to wrench on them like a lot. So
it's a lot of work, like the miking and the room, and like
but
tear down.
it's still worth it. But like if we're like, for example, like if we're doing like a writing day and we're trying to be the fastest guys in the world, and like we're starting to get more into the situations where we'll be doing a write with somebody in the room, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do a demo here, and it's like Daniel and I want to show off. We want to flex a little bit. We want to be like, okay, we'll show you what we can do in a day.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not trying to get a finished song, but like if when they put it in the car at the end of the day, they're like, oh my God, this is like better than anything I recorded in the past. And we did this in a single day, and this was a writing session.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a flex, right? So like in those situations, the MIDI drums sound great, like instantly.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So like when time is of the essence, it's like jumping into the MIDI with some real samples. And that's the thing too. That's like really the trick to it, is like we use MIDI drums, but I actually use samples from real recorded drums.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how it sounds a little bit more organic. And like there's certain tricks that I do with the room mics that make it feel like all the drums are in a certain room together, that they're glued together. But like, yeah, the MIDI drums are great for that, for the writing stuff. And two, because like if someone's like, this doesn't really happen, but if someone's like, oh, I don't like that kick pattern, MIDI drums, it's like, okay, we'll just change it on the grid.
3 seconds.
Real drums, it's like, oh my God, like we're gonna have to retrack these, or like I'm gonna have to do some real like MacGyvering and like chop up these overheads and change the kick pattern. Like it's way harder.
Way more. Yeah. A lot of splicing in Pro Tools.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
When you guys are renting a room out and tracking drums, the studio providing the gear, right? Like, so like, how in depth will you go with miking a drum kit?
This is actually a good question. We're literally about to do this on Friday. So the EP might be out by the time this is out, but he's got an EP coming out, and we got 4 more songs that the productions are like done. I kind of have like the songs 90% mixed, and now we're like, we're really happy with how they're sounding, but now we want to go that extra 5% and go pop some real drums onto it.
Right on.
So it's actually the last thing we're doing. So we're literally doing this on Friday. Going to the room, normally the studios that we get already have like a house kit. I'm super inclined with trying to use something. So I don't engineer the sessions when we go to, it's like why would, you know, I want the engineers who work there every day to do it, because they know what sounds good in those rooms.
Oh, you're getting in-house engineers as well.
Yeah,
You're
the
not
studio
just-
will come with it. Like I'll have a big hand in like how the drums sound, or like the sonic choices we're making, but I'm not the guy actually like setting up the mics and stuff.
Because you guys are still, from the artist standpoint, you guys are there as producers. You're not there as engineers setting up,
like some
running cables and things like that.
Like this, like again, I tried lightly with this stuff because I want to be like very respectful of like the studio that we're renting out. But like I'll run Pro Tools sometimes and stuff like that. Or like there's specific ways we want to comp the drums while we're tracking, and I'll say like, hey, can you do this? And if you're not comfortable do it, I'll step in and do it.
Okay.
But like if they seem like adequate and they're doing a good job, we'll just let them do their thing, right?
Nice.
But I'll be like, okay, I want the overheads to sound like this, or like, ooh, that snare's got like a lot of bleed from the hi-hat. Like, let's figure that out. Like there is moments like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I am going more of the producer role. In that sense too, a lot of those times, this correlates too with Daniel and I recording music ourselves. With Daniel playing a lot of the instruments, I kind of turn into the producer a little bit. Daniel almost turns into the artist. Like when we're tracking drums, Daniel's in there doing the parts and like he's producing the parts, writing and playing it. And I'm in the control room and I'm like, he's like the person I'm trusting in there. Be like, oh no, this is good. Or like, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of that, which is great for having two of us. Or like, for example, if we're doing a production, he's demoing out the production. He comes to me and now I almost have that listener's ear because like I'm not as deep to it because he did that initial 50% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like he's like, okay, I'm thinking these are the references for the song. I'm super into this. What do you think about that? And now I have that outside perspective. Be like, I love that, but let's take it here. And he's like, oh shit, okay, yeah. Then it starts snowballing from that. So same thing with drums. You know, when Daniel's playing, I'm the producer kind of, and we let the other guy kind of engineer it.
And by that time, it's like I've already mapped out the drum parts on like MIDI drums or whatever. So we have like a framework. Yeah. And a lot of the time we'll go like, I'll just have my laptop with me, reference what I did in the MIDI drums. We'll take the verse. I'll just play the real thing. Do we have the verse? Sweet. Let's move on to the chorus kind of thing. And just like do it in chunks like that using the MIDI drums, what I already programmed as just the reference, but just making it better. And then being like it's so different. Even though I play drums, there's such a difference of like writing parts when you're sitting at the kit versus like actually like how's this fill? You know? And so there'll be times when Garrett and I will both have our headphones on and like I just wish there was like people were like fly on the wall in the studio because we'll be like I'll like look over at Garrett and he'd be like do. Like you'll see like, okay, would this fill work here?
I'd be
and
like, do you like ka or do you like
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas, you know, when you map out the song in MIDI drums or whatever, and you sit down at the kit, you have a completely different feel and like understanding of where the song could go.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the times like those little changes you do on like the kit at the very end of the production or whatever of our process make this like a lot of the time like help the song like elevate it to another level because there's a difference between like playing and programming it.
To be honest, like thinking back of what we were talking about earlier, that actually might be the difference of that 5 to 10%. It could not even be a sound thing. It's just like now you're feeling like, oh, I programmed it this way, but like it feels more natural to do it like this, and you're like, oh shit, now it sounds like a real drummer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Instead of copying the fill in the pre-1 and pasting it in pre-2.
Right. Now we're gonna do a different one, or like it's bringing that human element to it, is what it is. Yeah.
Humanity
so it might not even
song.
be a sonic thing. Like, the sonic quality sounds different. There's more depth. It's more of like, now the part's actually just like more real.
That triggers me when I can very obviously hear that something was copy pasted in a record, and I'm like, that's the same. Or even like they'll reuse ad libs and stuff, and I'm like, ooh, no, like, come on, you guys.
At least just retake it.
Yeah, just do another pass or anything. Like it's just really lazy, cutting corners like that on like big budget shit too. And I'm like, like, I mean, maybe certain genres call for that, like really robotic, like hyper produced pop stuff, but like. Even then, like you want to have some feeling in it, man, like some human element to it.
Yeah, for sure.
How often do you run into a scenario where you guys have got your voice memo, you've built off of it, artist is hearing what you've worked on for the very first time and they're not feeling it?
Doesn't happen that often. It's only happened, I think, twice in almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
But it's not an issue. You know what I mean? We're again, like how we do our productions is like we do it all in budget. So we just do, our rate is X amount of dollars, 50% up front, 50% on the back end, and we're not getting that 50% on the back end until everyone's stoked. Okay. So like we really like try to, let the artist trust us that we're gonna do whatever it takes to make the record great. There has been cases where it's been like, this wasn't the direction I wanted, or even Daniel and I went straight for the references of what they gave, but maybe their headspace wasn't right at that time, or maybe whatever it was, right? Every song's different, so you never know. We're super good about that stuff because we get it too, you know what I mean? And again, because we've been doing this long enough and that Daniel and I are such like a team when we're doing this stuff, we can pretty much do a full out produced finished song in a day if we really wanted to. So it's like when somebody does say like, oh, this isn't what I'm doing, it's like we try to like reverse engineer what they're not liking about it, get confident in the changes we do need to make, then just execute really quickly. And within a day, we're typically like, this is exactly what I want. Or if we're still hesitant about it, that's when you're like, okay, come in the room with us.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, that, and we've done that a couple times lately, and it's like really fulfilling. And that's actually been one of the reasons why we wanted to change up our workflow. It's because Daniel and I have been getting like a lot of fulfillment, or just like, it's been really cool adding somebody else to the creative process. You know, not saying that him and I can't do it all ourselves, and not saying that the artists we work with don't have creativity into their songs. They totally do. But it's just like having somebody there from the start is like a cool thing, or at least from like 50% of the way, instead of coming in at like 80% and doing like 2 to 3 little tweaks on the music and like finishing the vocal. It's cool getting them in at like 50%.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, because like, again, like that flow of us like basically producing the whole song without the artist being there was just like out of necessity.
Yeah.
Right. So there's been a couple times where we've done the full production, send it, and they're like not stoked on it. And it's like, that is totally cool, because like you have no reference point. Like, this is your song, you're hearing it for the first time fully produced. So there is no ego with that kind of stuff either. It's not like, oh man, like this sucks, or like what we did was wrong, or whatever. It's like literally a shot in the dark. We've just been really lucky at kind of hearing what the song needs, approaching it with like taste, and trusting their references, having good communication, and then letting them understand, like, look, this is like a production demo. We can take it in any different direction, or any direction we kind of want to. But this from the jump is like where it's how it spoke to us.
Yeah, or that's our gut reaction.
Yeah.
And like, it could be right to us.
Yeah.
But maybe they were thinking something else, and that's totally cool.
And then at the end of the day, we always get there.
Yeah, we always
them.
get it.
We
like,
always
we've never
get
had
there
a situation where we're like, okay, we're stopping. Like,
This
like,
was just
you guys,
too far.
you guys
gone.
wrecked our song.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we've never had that.
That's good.
We've run into like moments where like demoitis has taken over, you know, where we produce a demo and
those demos sound really good.
They sound really good, and
bite ourselves in the foot.
That's right. Yeah. And they've been listening to that for a month, and now it's time to, you know, like we've been in that position a handful of times, which is fine. Like we just kind of assess like where we're at when that kind of fork in the road hits, and we go either like more with the demo or we kind of we just adjust where like necessary, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We've learned from that too, because Daniel and I work off of voice memos so much. We're so good at just like tuning out. Like if we do a good demo, like Daniel and I are like we can scrap the whole thing. Like we're so like easy at like, let's scrap it. Like let's just do it from scratch again.
Yeah.
But like as an artist, where again I was saying that like these songs are their babies coming in. If we did a songwriting session a month before, they'd probably listen to that song 1,000 times on repeat on their files, on their phone or whatever, MP3 and email or whatever it is. And so now, even though Daniel and I had that headspace of we're cool to start from scratch again from this, you can't.
Yeah.
Because they're
100%.
so used. And even if one's better or not, like it's not even a right
Doesn't
or wrong.
matter.
It's just different.
It's what I'm used to.
So
Exactly.
it's kind of funny that when we do those initial demos, if we are going to be producing the song in the future, which hopefully we are, we have to be strategic to be like, we need to aim it a certain way.
We can't
because
go
we can't,
too
we
far
won't
with
be able
this.
to change
Yeah.
it after.
Oh, wow.
Because that's their first reference point of the song.
You know what
and
I mean?
also, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot too, because we're like, we want to make the demo the best it can be too.
So now we got to beat the demo.
Exactly.
Well, it's like you got to beat
beating your own work at that point.
Yeah.
Luckily, like I have
Interesting.
the session, and it's like, again, we've never really it's never been that big of an issue. Like it's always like we've always figured it out. But it's even like, oh, the vocal sounded a certain way in the demo. I was like, oh shit, like I got to beat my own vocal chain now.
So so what does that look like? Like you've got this demo sounding great. You've put work into it. Artist is approved. Like, how do you begin to improve on that from your guys' point of view? Like, where do you go with that?
So like the demos that we will do, they typically don't have like a session steel guy on them, or they're not really mixed, or like the vocal's not melodined. It's maybe just auto-tuned, or like there's other harmony stacks we could do. Maybe the acoustic guitar was just done really quickly. We're all in the room chatting and laughing while the acoustic guitar is going on. So like obviously not like a finished recording of an acoustic. Stuff like that, or maybe the lead guitar, we just quickly laid down an idea, but the guitar was like a little out of tune. While like if we were actually doing it, we'd like be tuning it chord by chord, or like dialing it in.
Okay.
It's usually just acoustic, like an acoustic demo.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's never like a full production, but it's like acoustic demo, but you hear it, you're like, oh, like this sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
So it's an accumulation of a lot of small things that build up
Yeah.
to make it that finished record.
And too, like I'll throw it through like some mixing stuff that I do on everything, like just like stuff that I've like learned that gets our stuff sounding good. So like when they play in the car, like their impression's good. So like it kind of has a little bit of a mix on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you played it in front of anybody, they'd be like, "Oh, this is like you recorded this? Like, oh, this is good." Like people be like, "This is a demo?" Like they'd question like, "Oh, this is a demo."
Yeah.
They'd just be like, "Oh, this is like an acoustic song."
Totally.
No, it's
Okay.
kind of like that.
One thing I've run into a lot over the years working in hip hop, and maybe you guys can, I'll get your perspective on this. I think it's because the nature of hip hop is so computer based. It's all done with samples. There's really no session musicians to speak of.
Right.
There's not a lot of setup. There's not a lot of booking studios. It's just sort of like beat, come in, track vocal, or mix. I've got to the point many times where I'm done the mix, or like, and I do my mixing and mastering sort of at the same time. So we've got a finished song.
Yep.
And I get artists that want to re-record, or like I'm changing the I'm changing the lyrics in verse 2.
I'm gonna send you a new vocal.
Yeah. Or XYZ, I'm coming in to do more ad libs. I'm like at 99% of completion. And I've got, I've lost clients because of this, because of getting into fights. Not many, but it has happened where I'm just like, okay, guys, I understand. If you want to send me new stems, I'm charging more money for the time that it's going to take me to receive these new stems and work on them and put them into the song. And some people don't understand that or whatever. And that has led to, like I said, an
argument or
breaking of ways. And I think that one of the problems that I've noticed with the genre is that there seems to be such a lack of, not commitment is the right word, but it's so easy come, easy go with hip hop. There's no people, for the most part, learning an instrument from age 11 and working on it for decades.
Right. Yeah.
Their instrument is just me rapping on a mic of some lyrics that I wrote on the way to the session. So it's just so like throw together and tear apart quickly at the same time. How often do you run into this scenario in your genres where things are wanting to be re-recorded, rewritten at late in the stage of production?
We've definitely, it has happened, and it can be annoying, right? Like of course, especially when Garrett's done, it's ready to go to mastering or something like that. Like Garrett's
or like it's
done
like
the mix.
send it off to mastering, then the next day they're like, don't send it off.
Yeah, I want to
Like,
redo
what
the vocal.
hell?
Like we've been in that position, but at least how I approach it, it's like the relationship that we have with these artists, and like the relationships that we're building with these like young artists, or just artists that we're working with, like supersedes one song, right? Or like the project that we're doing, right? Like we've become like really close with all the artists that we work with, and that we haven't. And so of course those moments can be annoying, but it's almost like the relationship with that artist, or what we've built, or like the plans that we're gonna be working in the future, or
It's more important.
that's more important than the stress of like redoing one vocal. That's almost like there's going to be little like annoyances or idiosyncrasies that are like, of course, like there's always going to be those moments, but the relationship's more important. Or in a writing session, right? Like, or arguing over like splits and shit like that. It's our relationship is always worth more than just the one song or just that one little annoyance. Like the stress that one thing is going to bring you is not worth it, like in our opinion, because like you just take that and then you zoom out and look at like the entire picture, and it's like, okay, you just redo the vocal, that will be like that's fine, we'll move past it, then we're gonna work on this EP, and then like you just move on. So I've definitely felt stress, and of course G Ward too, because he's the one like cutting the vocals, and we'll like spend a full day with an artist. We've been in that position where they want to redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like whatever makes the song the best, the relationship's the most important, and you just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priority setting. I really
100%.
like how you worded that, dude. That's great. Yeah.
What Daniel said is the crucial thing is what's going to make the song the best, period.
Yeah.
Conversation over. And it's like, Max, I've felt exactly the same stress as you do, or like, where it's like I've done this mix and it's like, here's a whole new stack of vocals, and I'm like, oh my God. Like now I'm going to have to recomp these, retune these, retime these, and throw them in and hope it's going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if it's not better, there's going to be certain differences from the other one versus it. You go right down the rabbit hole. But like what Daniel says, like that stress you're feeling in that moment, you got to Rick Rubin yourself. You got to like take it easy, take a breath, and be like, our relationship with the social artist and the future with this artist is way more important than me crying or getting upset about me spending an extra day's worth of work on this.
Yeah.
Like just make it happen.
Yeah.
We're doing music for a living, man. This was what we dreamed to do. Pull up your socks and let's do this. You know what I mean?
Or like, guess what? We're in control. We don't have to work that artist again. You know, like
or in the future, like if it's really that big of a problem, we don't have to do it in the future. But like we haven't had that situation.
Yeah.
But like we have had situations where we got new files, or we're literally at the last hour and we're like, yeah, we're all signed off, good to go. I've already went through the song and printed all the mix stems for them to do like backing tracks live. And the guy's like, yeah, here's like 4 new things. The vocal. I'm like, oh my God, I have to remix this now.
Yeah.
And I have to go spend another 2 hours printing the stems again. Like that gets a little annoying, but it's like, take a deep breath. It's like, we're doing music for a living here.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky.
And also it's the approach too, right? Like if somebody's like self-aware about it, then it's like, then we're cool with it. Like then, you know, it's like someone cutting off in traffic and it's like, what, you asshole? And then they're like, I'm sorry. It's like, okay. It's like, it's actually, it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, like so like the self-awareness like that is important too, as long as it's not like, I want to redo this whole thing because it sucks. It's like, we've never run into that and been in that position. It's always like, guys, I think I could perform this better or do this better, or, as long as it's like approached with awareness, then it's like,
and as long as it is better.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like there is certain cases where like, and we talked about this in I think one of our previous podcasts, where they sent us new vocal and where I was like, objective opinion, it's better. And I was like, they were right.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have all the answers. We don't get it right. Like our batting average is very good, but we don't hit a home run every single time. You know, like sometimes they're right. And like, you're like, okay, I just got to do this.
Yeah.
You know, if like our names are on it when that song comes out, just how I talked about in our start of our career, like trying to make sure that every song is, that's that individual artist's baby. This might be the 10th song
Straight
we worked
up.
on that month, but that's their baby.
Yep.
It deserves that time. It deserves that extra 4 hours or whatever it is. And when you listen to that song 3 months from now, when it's on Spotify and people are loving it, and it's got a bunch of streams, you're not going to worry about that stress. You're not going to hear that stress. You're going to hear like, wow, this artist is really proud of this, and I'm really proud of this.
And this is doing really well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and at the end of the day too, because Garrett and I are still so young in our production careers, it's like the relationship like trumps like everything. It's like we're just trying to. That's like the most important thing in life, like the relationships that you have. So that is how we have gotten more work, like nurturing those relationships and like becoming friends with these people and like building this, however douchey it sounds, like this like community of artists and stuff.
Oh,
like that's the most important.
Absolutely, man. I'm there with you on that. Like I treat the clients that I have worked with over the years that I've had success with, I count them as friends. You know, we call each other. We're like involved in each other's lives. Like it's more than about the music. It's about that relationship.
Yeah.
It's like I remember their birthdays and we're like, you know, FaceTiming and stuff. And it's like that means so much to me, all of that stuff.
And too, like to be honest, like that situation that you're telling us about, like getting new vocals or new files, like that's never going to stop. Like straight up, it's never going to stop.
It's unavoidable.
I mean, like the biggest mixers in the world, biggest producers in the world, they're still going through that stuff. Like you cannot tell me that like if Serban's mixing a Weekend song and the Weekend says, "Hey, I got a new vocal," he's going to fucking say no. Like there's no way that's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that's never going to stop. So like you just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of the gig.
I fully understand that. I think just to circle back to my original question, it was like, does it happen more with certain styles and certain genres? Because going back to what I was saying about hip hop and rappers, that there's there's just like there's, I don't want to say like a lack of respect, but like a lack of appreciation maybe for like what we are doing, and like people who are coming to you guys are making music that have been practicing, that have been working on an instrument, that have some sort of musical background with like maybe even understanding like music theory. If that even exists anymore, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we don't understand music theory.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
But yeah, I'm just I'm finding more and more that I'd like to be working less with the genre that I am because of that.
Sorry, can I
go ahead.
I don't think it's the genre. I really don't. I think it's just technology. It's just people are so used to being able to like if I didn't know Pro Tools, or like if I wasn't like an engineer or whatever, I wouldn't understand why you just can't pop a new vocal in. You know what I mean? Like, well, what's the big deal?
Well, that's what it is. I mean? Like, that's what it is. There's no understanding of like what's actually involved on our end to like make that happen for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it could be me. I mean, this is me being really transparent right now, but like my clientele, like the right type of people that are like serious and not serious, or like maybe committed at a certain level and not, you know, to be doing this, to be taking this as seriously as I feel that I am. So, in a sense, I feel unlucky. Like I do feel unlucky that I have not missed a lot, but like a lot of the people that are reaching out to me or that I'm working with are not, it's like a one-time thing. Even though the relationship seems to be great, it's not like they don't ever talk to me again because I did a bad job.
Right.
I feel like so much of the relationships I've built, people that I've met have just given me nothing but praise and then never see them again. But it goes back to this like easy come, easy go nature of the computer-based music, of the hip hop world, where there's so many people that are just fucking trying this out.
Yeah.
Versus what you guys are doing, where I keep coming back to this, but it's like people in rock, country, blues, jazz, whatever, like have honed their craft for decades, are working on an instrument, like know that fucking guitar, and aren't booking a session when they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's so much of that in the rap and hip hop world, where it's just like somebody's never made a song, never even like doesn't even have lyrics maybe, and they're booking studio time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've dabbled in the hip hop stuff, just doing some like engineer and mixing stuff, but Daniel and I clientele aren't really hip hop guys for now, at least. I don't really have a lot to say to that. Maybe Botch, you might say something, but like,
so you've always been doing hip hop, right? Like, and producing, mixing it and stuff, like from like ever since like we met, right?
Yeah.
Because you rap too, right? Right.
Yeah.
So do you think it's because like there's a certain culture with country, a certain
that's the word. I think
just said country. Okay.
Bring out the slide guitar.
Exactly. I should be shot.
Oh my god.
So
it's very country of you to say that.
Exactly. So, but there's a culture with that style of music, right? There's a certain culture with jazz and a certain culture with hip hop. Do you think it's within that genre? Do you feel like there's a certain? What do you think that? Like, what do you think that is? Do you think it's more like you can't paint a whole genre like that? I'm not saying you, but you in general, like with such a broad brush. But they're sure that there's like little things that are different within like the country culture versus like the hip hop culture and how people approach things and stuff like that. So what do you think that is? Like from what I'm hearing you say, it's like you feel it's a little more like flippant and very just different. So maybe it's do you feel that that's within like the hip hop music culture?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I've been doing this for 20 years now, and this is just the trend that I've seen, and I've worked with a lot of different people over the years. At 2 Track, I was just SoundClouding rappers 9 to 5, all the time. and then on my own now, I'm to my own financial detriment. I'm so picky about who I work with.
Yeah.
Because I'm not having that anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And it goes back to me, like I was talking about this a couple weeks ago, but it's just like I chose this. We chose this, making music for a living, so I should be enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's caused me a lot of pain, to be honest, over the years, because I remember myself when I started out rapping, like how fucking much I cared.
Yeah.
I had lyrics memorized. I used to go jogging and I'd rap my whole album while jogging to prepare for a show. Like, that's how seriously I was taking my shit.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I like
So that when I was on stage moving around, I wouldn't lose my breath.
Yeah, for sure.
And when I see people book studio sessions with no beat and no lyrics written, and then they come in, smoke weed, and text friends, and it's just like a hangout session, that's just so disrespectful. And that shit hits me hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've been seeing that for years. And even now that I've left 2-Track, I'm on my own. Maybe there's a residual from that's still with me, of the people there's certain people that are hitting me up, but it's just, I don't think it is. I think it's inescapable from the hip hop culture, which is just all about ego. I mean, hip hop is just about bragging. It's just, I'm the alpha male. That's what it's about. I stole your bitch and I have bigger rims than you. It's just, it's ego. It's ego, man.
I don't know. That sounds pretty country to me. It's
Exactly. Yeah.
But at the same time, there's no requirement for any sort of there's a culture of MCs, and then there's a culture of like rap and trap and just the drug music and the SoundCloud I guess I see too much of the latter, of just the people that are not the disciplined, that are not the memorizing the lyrics, running and preparing for a show. I'm just really, but I'm confused about it, and I'm wondering, like, is this unique to this genre? There's just such a lack of just a lack of respect for the art.
Yeah, maybe it's like, because we're not in this world. Maybe because, like you were talking about, like computer-based music like that, right? And how like kids are coming up now, instead of like learning Call of Duty, they're like learning Logic and like making beats and shit like that, right? So because that is so hip hop and rap nowadays is so influenced by that, I feel like, just like hearing you talk, there's going to be like a plethora of just fakes out there because of that. So like maybe different genres are, like, maybe it's different with genres to weed out the real ones because of the actual process of making the music. And I'm not saying that you haven't worked with any like real ones, but like maybe there is more. Maybe those like waters are harder to navigate because from like an an outside point of view to somebody who wants to get started and like, or have the whole like bravado and ego and want to be a rapper, that kind of in their mind, a barrier to entry to become that is quicker, because all it is like making a beat. When that's from our experience, that's not it. That's not real, you know? So I don't know. But it's just funny that, you know, kids are now learning, and that, you know, ultimately it's a good thing. It's just like learning like a DAW, like super duper young like that. Like we didn't have that as kids. So I don't know. Maybe it is just harder to weed out and find the real ones in certain genres. I'm not sure.
It just may be a simple fact that it's oversaturated to shit. Like, it's just the most oversaturated, maybe, because you can't fake playing a guitar, but you can fake mumbling into a microphone.
Yeah.
You can't fake knowing how to play a mandolin or fake playing a drum or pick up a bass that you just bought at Long and McQuaid, book a session and think you're going to make a hit record. But you can do that with your voice.
I hear you.
You could show up high, ask for auto-tune,
Right.
mix it in session and put it on SoundCloud that night, and it might go viral.
Yeah. Music's
That's the
getting
reality
weird.
of that
Music's
shit.
weird.
That's the reality of that shit, of that genre, man. It's very weird. It's very weird.
Just wait till the AI takes over.
Yeah.
I was hoping we weren't going to talk about that, but we probably should dip
Yeah.
into that.
I don't
a
really
little
know
bit.
anything about it. But
Yeah, me either.
You guys have
But I
heard
just-
the song at least, right? The Drake and Weeknd song that was completely AI.
No.
What didn't it like chart or something? So what's the deal with that?
It's the label is like actively trying to like remove it because it's becoming such a problem. Like Universal has gotten involved. Like,
Really?
It's not the Weeknd, it's not Drake, but it sounds just like them, and it's a pretty good song.
Wait, so is somebody making the royalty off of this then? Like the guy who
The guy
like,
who programmed the AI. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know, like, I'm just reading one article about it and watching the video on YouTube. It made me very sad, but it's
you'll have to
a
show
little
it after.
scary.
You have to show it to us after.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I've heard clips. I think I don't think I've listened to the
but-
whole thing.
Does it actually sound like Drake and the Weeknd?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like literally
Yeah, it
their
does.
voices.
There's Kanye West singing
weird.
Adele songs now.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's like, we're in a weird,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what I just talked about was nothing compared to this.
I'm waiting for Isotope to come out with like the mixer and a plug-in.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Hire your engineer for Jason Joshua, Manny, Serban as a plugin, put it on your mix.
Dude, I'm about to give away like $1 million idea to you. This is what's gonna. I guarantee in the next like 5 years, this is gonna happen. Like Isotope's gonna come out with something that like just how Daniel and I use the vocal remover, the AI vocal remover. They'll be able to make a plugin that can remove the percussion, like the rhythmic elements, the low end,
They have that.
the music, and the vocal.
They have that.
Then analyze, EQ, mash, compression, and now you can do your own stems into.
I
that.
saw Michael Brower did a video about it where like all they had was a live recording of a band and they wanted him to mix it, and he threw these Isotope plugins and it stripped the drums away, stripped the guitar away, stripped the bass away, and he had stems, and he's like, now I'm gonna mix. I'm pretty sure it was Isotope, and this was a couple years ago.
No, but even further from that it like would analyze, like say I want a song to sound like The Weeknd, I Can't Feel My Face or whatever.
Okay.
You'd be able to take your stems and it analyzes those and it'll match your stem to the EQ curves and the compression of the other.
yeah, well, yeah. Again, Isotope has EQ match on Isotope on 10 O's or 10. Things are getting crazy, and I had this conversation a week ago after I heard the Drake and Weeknd song, and someone who was not a music producer said something very potent and very eloquent to me that totally changed my mind. So I want to run this by you guys. Basically, the art of mixing is about taste and feeling, really, at the end of the day. You remove all the technical aspects, you know, because we can have plugins get as good as we possibly want that are going to give us the perfect sound for the snare, that are going to compress the bass line perfectly. But at the end of the day, it's like, is that plugin AI going to understand automation, going to understand what words to throw a reverb throw on, all the little nuances of mixing that give us the human portion of it. And until we can program AI to have actual emotion, I think that mixing is still going to have a place for many years to come, no matter how good AI gets.
It's got to last till I'm about 75, then we'll be good.
So why is 75?
Because then I'll retire.
Yeah, then we're done.
Yeah, then I'm done.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, you know,
I have no
like
idea.
I'm so ignorant when it comes to this, and it's a wild thing to think about, right? When it comes to, okay, AI creating songs and songs that will chart and the future of that. And again, I'm a dumbass. I don't know anything. But it's like at the end of the day, I don't know. But it's like I feel like it's human emotion, right? Sound like an asshole talking like this. A human emotion that like sets culture and like changes culture, and like it's like it's always started by something or somebody, or like I always love to see how an era of people, like how singers of a certain era will approach the way that they sing, right? Or like think of Adele versus Billie Eilish versus like these different eras, right? That have inspired a whole generation of young artists, in those cases, like young girls, how they approach certain like vowels and the cadence of how they sing versus like S Club 7 versus like Backstreet Boys, right? And how culture has changed based on the human condition, like how humans have changed and how humans have caught on. So it's an interesting thought experiment to be like, will AI be able to do that? Will humans then be able to think what AI is doing or be influenced by AI like how humans have been influenced, say, I just said it, like Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
I remember I was this was like super stupid, but I don't know, over 10 years ago, I auditioned for Canadian Idol, okay? And went nowhere. But I remember being in line and like everybody's like warming up their voice and like singing, like practicing their songs, and every girl sounded like Adele. And I'm like, I remember thinking then and I remember, I think prior to that, I was listening to, or I was like, there was a Britney song or like a Christina Aguilera, and just thinking like how they approach their vocal or how they like reach for certain words is so different than how all these girls sang, and like how now it's cool to sing like this, but now in a couple years it's going to be cool to sing like that, and it's weird to think that with AI now, like how's AI going to interface with that? Anyway, like
to be able to pick up on trends,
or not pick up, but like create trends, like to start them, and then for like us humans to be like, that's dope, I'm going to sing like that, or like that's cool now. Like it like even AI now with like the photographs and they're like mental, right? Like you've seen some like
deep fake.
Yeah, like it's wild.
Scares the shit out of me, yeah.
But like, and my girlfriend, like she's a photographer, like she's like messed around with AI photography. But at the end of the day, she's still the one like plugging in the creative, right? So again, I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's just funny to as a thought experiment.
It's a great point. Like, will we get to a point where there's so much that it's been able to pick up on that it is creating its own, and then we're trying to copy it, or we're being influenced by it, like
taking everything and then being like, this is new now, this is the new thing. I don't know. Obviously I don't know.
It's a pretty crazy world we live in.
Crazy world we live in.
The AI photography is wild though. Dude. They haven't got that like hands are like all like messed up, and like when you look at next time you look at like an AI photograph,
just I don't know what is AI and what isn't.
Yeah, no. look, but you can tell. Look at the eyes. It's like Satan. It's like crazy. There's
no soul in there, right?
Yeah. It's like you can tell by the eyes.
They're not
like, it's like you don't want to. And that's not a good thing. You know, it's like there's no humanity in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, look at it next time. It's wild.
There's no depth in the mix.
It's like scary.
Oh my god!
There's no heat on your Pro Tools.
There's no heat on that photo. Yeah. Oh my god. I know you guys got to get out here, so maybe we'll wrap this up pretty quick. Where can people find you on the internet, and can you give us one project that you're looking forward to that you're allowed to talk about?
Oh man. I think we could probably talk about all the projects. I don't see why not. This artist called Mark Ledlin that we're working with, he's announced it already too.
Okay.
He's an Igor Beaver. He's releasing an EP called Cowboys Wear Sneakers 2. I'm not going to say when the release date's going to be, but Daniel and I are currently finishing up the music for that.
Yep.
This guy, Curtis Hagen, who we just worked with, which I want to show you the song after because I'm very proud of it. I think he's going to be releasing that song in the next couple months, and we're going to be doing, I don't know if we'll be doing EP with him, but at least another batch of songs with him coming up. An artist called Zach McPhee that we work with. He's coming out with a song this Friday, and he's got a couple more songs in the works with us. We got tons of stuff, man. This guy, Mitch Zorn, we work with. He's a very talented guy. He's up from Kelowna, I believe. He's got a song coming out this Friday. It's called Snow in April. Man, but like really how to find us, it's our social media stuff. It's like Instagram, the Renaissance Music.
Yep.
I think
Renaissance Music. Yeah,
and our website too.
Yeah. I think the website's the same. Renaissance Music, yeah. Yeah,
renaissancemusic.com. And just honestly too, like most of the time Daniel and I just stay on our own personal socials and work from that.
Okay.
So yours is just Dan Botch, isn't it?
Yeah, just Dan Botch.
Just Dan Botch. I don't know how you got that one, but
just legendary. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that one would be taken on Instagram.
was
then
lucky.
mine's mixed by G Ward.
Yeah.
Botch was taken. That was a band. I wanted to ask you, are you, just because I am always trying to find new music, like all the time, right? Like on a weekly basis, trying to find like new bands and new artists and stuff like that. Are you stoked on anybody? Like, do you do that same kind of thing too? Like, are you always trying to find like the new thing? Not even just for your mixing or production, but just for like Max's personal love for music.
Yeah.
And, like, are you stoked on anybody?
I mean, you remember Garrett and I were in the same class at Nimbus, and we did this weekly thing where at the beginning of class, we'd open up iTunes and just look at new shit. I think that was the
best part of Nimbus.
It was one of my favorite things.
Did you do that,
No,
Bosch?
what was that?
It was like a New Music Friday.
New Music Fridays.
We'd listen to the top 10 and we'd all write down notes of
and just discuss new shit.
Yeah. I remember listening to Macklemore's Same Love when that came out, and we did that with Condor.
It was the best.
Anyway, sorry for
and Taylor Swift, that song that was like dubstep and country.
Oh, Trouble.
Like that was one of the songs we discovered because of New Music Friday. Anyhow, I've carried on that tradition.
Oh yeah?
And I do that before I start mixing. Every time I come in, I open iTunes and I just do a little bit of browsing in like multiple categories. And for my own curiosity, but also like for my engineer side of things too, like how is hip hop changing? How do vocals sound compared to how they sounded 5 years ago? But I go out and listen to genres that I don't listen to, and I'm a Apple Music guy, so they have the way they have their genres laid out, browse, and I do that, and I listen to stuff, get my ears warmed up in the morning before I start work, and discover new things and new people. And there's like I'm drawing a blank right now, obviously, but
we're putting you on the spot, dude.
But that's something that I love to do.
Yeah,
and
I think
gets
that's
me
like so
excited
important.
about music.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
dude. There's no other no feeling better. I feel than like finding and like I'll find an artist, right? That and I'll try to like look like on a weekly basis, and I'll find an artist that I'm like, how have I not known of them?
Mm-hmm.
And you get so freaking excited, and like that is the reason why I love music, and is like for that feeling, because it can get like monotonous, right? Like you're just like, especially for someone like Garrett, who's like literally like it's technical, like his skill set is like the technical side, which is like not mine at all. But just being in a studio like day in and day out, it can get monotonous, right?
Yeah.
And
it gets a little
like a job.
jobby.
Yeah.
So I, at least in my life, have tried to find ways to like listening to music, and like I collect vinyl, and I like, and there's never a time when I'm at home where the vinyl player isn't on, and listening to in the day and age of like having Spotify and having like Apple Music, everything is so accessible. Finding ways to like break out of that is so important for my sanity. And it's almost when we wake up in the morning and put on like, I don't know, like some like jazz record from like the 30s or something like that. It's music, but it's like, it's so far removed from what Garrett and I do on the day to day that it's like such, I'm like, this is why I love music. Like that feeling, it like breathes fresh air into like my soul, which allows me to like carry on with
You're
this
not
job.
analyzing it. You're just there feeling it, letting it speak and just enjoying it.
I'm not like, the kick drum or like the mix and stuff.
There
like,
you go. Yeah. None of that.
It's just funny that you brought up jazz, because that's what my girlfriend and I do at dinner times sometimes. Like we don't have jazz records or anything like that, but I go on YouTube and literally like wooden fireplace with jazz music, romantic jazz music, and literally that's what we listen to while we're eating dinner. Just like it's fun to do, and it's just like, and I don't analyze it. Yeah, and it's true. Like I enjoy it. Like we end up like dancing or like doing the melodies, or like it feels good or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of falling in love with music. That's what country music used to be for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was that type of thing.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, boys, I have enjoyed this tremendously. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
Thanks for having us.
Dan, I haven't seen you in years.
Forever. I remember the first time we met, I think we played the Tunnel.
Whoa,
the Tunnel in Vancouver. and there was like nobody there but just this fucking like dude wearing a suit dancing, just being
looking
like
good,
just chilling, hanging out, and like that. I think that was the very first time that I was like, this guy's sick. Like, this guy's dope.
I was just
think that's
happy to be out supporting local music.
That's right.
man.
Is that what you're doing? Just like, no, did you know Garrett at that time?
Yeah,
we were in the same class.
No, Max was a key supporter of the face plants because we were in the phase.
I thought that was before.
So we were in the phase at that time where we were just trying to get good. So like anybody who's actually in music trying to give advice to people upcoming, they'd be like, don't play too many shows in your hometown. They're like, play one a year. So then you can sell it out or whatever, make it a big deal. Because if you play every weekend, no one's going to come see you play. Because they're like, I'll just catch them next weekend. We were in the phase where we were so young that we just needed to get our 10,000 hours on stage.
Right.
So we would play like twice a week at any bar we could practice.
Yeah.
And you came to like 90% of the shows.
So sick.
You were the only ticket we ever sold to any of them. So I appreciate you.
I lived downtown at the time. You know, I knew Garrett. I liked the music, and I was just happy to be there, man. It was great.
Yeah.
So.
I remember that.
That's awesome.
Super
good memories.
I'm stoked that you brought that up. That's awesome.
Tunnel.
Beautiful.
Where it all began.
I got to say, like, you guys are. It's so cool for me to know like-minded people, peers like yourselves. You guys like truly inspire me. You really do. Like, I admire the shit out of the both of you, out of your your work ethic, your talent. So I'm just proud to know you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Of course.
And best of luck to you guys with everything, with the music.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. That means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. It's Max DeShaw, Garrett Ward, Dan Botch. It's the Renaissance. It's the demo to Limo. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Peace.
See ya.